Alright guys, so as you can see we're cracking straight into it. This model's already been primed with Retributor armor. It's had a pretty decent coat, just using detail, not a detail brush, a base coating brush all over, and then it's had two thin washes of Reichland Flesh Shade to bring it to this nice gold color that you can see before you. I usually like to leave it about 30 minutes to set in. Gives a good overall coverage. I just go real thick with it. I'm not light with it. You want it to look really ingrained. You want to have a nice look to it. Alright, so next step is that we're just going to be running over the model with some Cantor blue. We're just going to be using this as our base color for all of our blue bits on the model. I'll be using a wet palette to help me apply two thin bases. We will have a tutorial video for making your own wet palette later on. It's going to be good, but basically we're just going to be applying blue to here, the lapels, and the back of this bit here. Anyway, get onto it. Bit of water, just using a standard brush, nothing fancy. Don't have to worry about being too neat. It's going to be pretty messy. Two thin coats, don't forget. Alright, so as you can see, done the blue, so we've got the shoulder pad, these little lapel things, the outside of the skirt, and then I've done the back of the skirt and then the back of the quiver as well. Alright, so that's the blue done on that one. These are just the base coats we're going to go through with highlights and all these other bits in the next few steps. So we'll just go on to the next base colours from here. Alright, so the next bit we're going to be doing is the browns. Basically we're going to be hitting down here, up here, on the bow, and then the arrows at the back, and then maybe the strap in the middle. We'll just see how we go. Alright, so we'll just start using a wet palette again, nothing too complicated. Just nice thin coats. Don't want to go too crazy. Just don't worry about being too messy either. We're just going to get it out there, and it's going to look pretty good. Get right in behind there. Alright, so that's it, that's the brown done. For those of you who are curious, the colour I'm using is Scorch Brown. It's an old Citadel colour. It's just a really nice earthy brown. You should be able to find it everywhere. Again, don't be too worried about this first layer. This is just really the undercoat. So you've just done the brown on the bows, got in behind there, got on the arrow, on the belt, and don't forget the two arrows back there and over here, and that's the brown done. Alright, so the next thing that we are going to be hitting is going to be the silver. So we're just going to use Lead Belcher base coat straight out of the pot. Nothing fancy. I've never seen a reason to use a wet palette and metallics. That's just me. You might do it. Just because I'm not doing it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Basically we're just going to get it straight out of the pot. A little bit on here. And areas we're going to be targeting are the ends of the bow, these knocks on the hand, the arrow itself, and then the extra arrows at the back, and we'll see what else we decide to pick up. Oh, and the tabard in there. So we'll just start nice and easy. Don't need to be too, like, remember, like, this is the first coat. We're going to hit this with a wash once we've done this. Nothing too complicated. Not going to have to worry about it too much. Just going to go through. That's all the silver bits done. All the bits in Lead Belcher have been completed. They've just been given a quick wash with null oil, just to bring down. Oh, I dropped him. Just to bring down the shading a little bit more, and up here. Otherwise, it's just a bit too bright. Then don't forget the bits at the back. Those bits there, those bits there. Right, so the next bit we're going to tackle is the red plumes on the head. I'm pretty sure they're red. Yes, they are. I'll do the red plumes on the head. Nothing too fancy. Basically, this is just corn red. This is just base corn red, and I'll be using my wet palette for this. Just two thin coats. I don't have to really use too much because there's not much there. Just get a bit closer to the camera. I'm sure you guys all can know how to paint red. Nothing too exciting. Alright, so as you can see, that's the red's done, so top and back, nice and completed. Not too much of an issue. Okay, so that completes all of our base colours, so just go over it again. We've got Cantor Blue on the blue, Lead Belcher for the silver, we've got Scorched Earth for the brown, and then we've got Corn Red for the hair, and then the armour is Retributor Gold with a wash of Reikland Flesh Shade. Right, so the next part we're going to be doing is that we're just going to be getting the Retributor armour straight from the pot, and we're actually just going to be highlighting up using our already shaded Retributor armour. It's the easiest way to get a natural highlight. It's the easiest way I find to get them looking a little bit more interesting. I don't really like the bright colour of Stormcast usually. I like mine a little bit darker, so this is simply how I do it. It's not too hard. We're just going to give the pot a quick shake just to get it all nice and mixed up. Then we're just gonna pop it open. Just gonna leave it there so you guys can see what I'm doing. So basically what we're going to be doing is that we want to be picking points on this model where we think the highlights are going to be. So a really easy one just along this edge. So we don't want to push it in too far, but don't worry about being too messy because it's Retributor armor shaded with the Reikland Flesh Shade. Even if you push it in, it's not going to show up too much, and it's actually going to look like quite a natural flow. But remember, don't put your coats too thick. So basically, we'll flip it over onto the back. Probably a little bit easier to see how we're doing it here. And then what we're going to be doing is that we're just going to be basically just dragging a little bit of the Retributor Gold onto the parts of the armour where the sunlight is going to catch. So object source lighting from above. So don't go too deep into the crevices. And don't get too worried if you're not super neat with it. As I said, it's going to be a pretty quick job. As you can see, like, it's already bringing out that highlight, and we're making a really good contrast between the areas that have already been shaded flesh tone to the areas that we're redoing with the Retributor Gold. And I actually just find it's a really nice sort of way to go about painting these miniatures, because it just adds so much extra depth to it. And then, so we'll give a bit more contrast, we'll keep going with it. Show you guys what it's going to look like on here. So on this shoulder pad, because there's so much detail, we can just quickly go over some of the really raised areas, and it already adds a little bit extra shading and detail to the model that we wouldn't have before if we had just left it with the shade itself. And just be really careful, just bring those teeth out. Look at that, it's just popping now. Loving it. Oh, these models are really fun to paint. Really enjoy it. Anyway, I'll get back to it. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at the moment. Right, so that's the armour completed. I've just gone over it with another coat of Retributor Gold, Retributor armour, straight from the pot. Nothing fancy here, just gone through, and it's now just got like a little bit more contrast between the Reikland Flesh Shade armour and the rest of it, a little bit deeper, a little bit nicer. I actually really like it. Right, so the next step we're going to be doing is that we're going to go onto the blue. Basically we're just going to be using, where is it? Here it is. Just going to be using Calidor Sky, it's a base, but we're using a really watered down sort of version, and just going to be hitting the highlights with it. Nothing too fancy. Just going to want to be making it using really thin coats to sort of give a little bit of an edge highlight to it. So Nothing too fancy. Just want to go over a couple of layers. Make it look real nice. This is just a highlight for the blue. So just want to be hitting around the edges. Nothing too fancy. You want to be hitting up on the lapels as well. I'll finish off and Alright, so that's the blue done. It's just been like a nice quick highlight along the bottom, along the tabard, up on the shoulder here. Just wanted to give it a bit of a transition between the dark blue. Can't really see it over here. A little bit better. It's quite a nice blue. Down the pack and then on the back of the tabard here. Just trying to pick areas that you think catch the light. Try not to, don't overdo it. Don't worry about too much if you're spending heaps of time on it. Just kind of go through, get it done, make it look good. Right, so the next bit we're going to be doing is the brown, so we're just going to be highlighting that with XV88. Yeah. Just going to give it, we're going to do a 50-50 mix of XV88 and Scorch Brown. That's how we're going to do it. I just don't think Scorch Brown is light enough. I don't think Scorch Brown's too dark. Dark enough for this job. Oh god, I need to English properly. Add a tiny little bit XV88 to our brown mixture. So it's about a 50-50 mix of Scorch Brown and XV88. And it looks pretty average. You know, so you're just gonna go through and apply it to the upper areas of the model. Like so. We can't see too much of a difference. It's very subtle. Very subtle tone change. Two thin coats. Don't go all the way to the edges, you want a bit of brown to show through. Alright, so that's the brown done. I ended up hitting it with a little bit of a highlight of XV88 just along the top edges. Don't know if you guys can see it, but it's there on the belt, just a little bit of a subtle highlight to make it look a little bit less straight up and down. Nothing too fancy. Right, so the next bit we're going to do is a red plume on the hair. So first thing we're going to do is that we're going to hit it with Leviathan purple. It'll just give the hair a little bit more depth to it, and actually it's a purple, but it's actually a really nice purple, and it makes the hair look very natural. For the red colour that it is, you don't need much. It's pretty decent. My bad, I moved away. Pretty decent, I said. Doesn't need much, it's going to take a little bit. Right, and then just leave that. Alrighty, now that the Leviathan purple has dried to a significant enough extent, basically all you're going to do is just get a tiny bit of Red Sun Scarlet. You're just going to hit the tips with it. Nice and easy, nothing too complicated. Nice thin coat, so it'll blend in pretty easily with the rest of the model. Once it's dried, just hit those top bits, and the bits that'll come out the side. Don't have to go too crazy with it. It'll be a pretty good natural highlight. Enough as it is. Just hit the top and make it look pretty. And just make it, neaten it up, make it look good. You guys can do what you want. For this one I just like to give it a bit more transition. There you go, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so the next step is that we're going to be going on is the base. It's basically all the colours there, done and dusted. You can go further, you can pick out more details. There isn't as much detail on these guys as the Liberators, but this is just quick, easy, get it done, get it out there, get these guys on the tabletop, they'll look good. Alright guys, so that's me. That's this guy done. As you can see, not a lot of detail. I mean, a really cool model to paint. Doesn't take super long. A couple of quick techniques that I hope you picked up tonight. Hopefully it'll allow you to get your Stormcast out on the table nice and quickly. Make them look amazing. I really enjoyed it. My name's Brynley. Tune in, subscribe, like. Check us out for more videos. Got more videos on the way. Got a wet palette, we got a light arch. We've got some barbed wire tutorials. I'm going to be doing a lot more Stormcast. So, hope you enjoyed it. Check us out. Anyway, you guys have a good night. I'm going to go to bed. Catch you later.